Good evening, everybody. That was all right. We'll take that. I'm not here just to tell you about the bar this time. We are here to get the evening started. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Baseball Lounge here at Pride Park Stadium. It is terrific to see so many of you. We really appreciate the support and you engaging with us in this way tonight, as always. This evening's event is brought to you by our partners at FanHub. I'm sure many of you have their app already. It's designed to celebrate match-going supporters. Lots of features on there. It's available in your app stores now, so thank you to them. A couple of thank yous and hellos to get through before we do anything else. Firstly, a thank you and a round of applause, please, for Paul Tattershall, who's provided all the memorabilia tonight. Thank you, Paul. And I am sure you would all like to give a very warm welcome to our board members who are here, Richard Taverner and David Clowes, who are in the room. Now, I would also like to offer an official welcome to the members of our supporters board who are here tonight. I'll try to make sure that this isn't too awkward for them, but we do want to make sure that you all know who they are. So, guys, if you wouldn't mind just standing and waving when I mention your names as I tell you a little bit about them. So first we have Craig Flindle, who is the Chief Operating Officer and Chief Financial Officer at Warwickshire Cricket Club. You can applaud now if you would like. We have Stella Guttridge, who's worked across mergers, acquisitions and major contracts for a number of different organisations. Welcome, Stella. Hilary Leam has held a number of commercial leadership roles. She's also the chair of Rosehill Arts Centre in Chesterfield. Alex Leyland works as an assurance manager in the electricity market regulation. I had more, but we'll stop there for you. Has been a board member on various places as well. I was going to use the applause to get onto the next page, you see. You can sit down now if you want, and then the last person can wave. Do you want to stand up to wave? Okay. And finally, we have Steve Wilson, currently Chief Finance Officer for Greater Manchester Combined Authority and the Office of the Mayor of Greater Manchester. Now you can sit down. Thank you, guys. There is also Jazz Gidder, who is on the board as well, sends his apologies tonight. He has over 20 years' experience running a business consultancy practice. They'll be here all evening. We'll hear a little bit more from Hilary later, but they will be here during the break as well. So if you want to go over and say hello or ask any specific questions of them, please feel free to do that. Now, we are nearly about to welcome other people, I promise. But just a quick reminder of the running order for you. This is on your itineraries if you arrived early enough and were lucky enough to get an itinerary. Please keep hold of those because they might come in useful later. But the timings are on there for tonight. In a few moments, we'll welcome the players on stage to take some questions. Around 7:15, we'll have the break. I can hear everybody checking their itineraries now. When we come back after the break, we'll hear more about the supporters board, and then we'll welcome Stephen Pearce and Paul Warne onto the stage. And we should be wrapped up at around 8:15 for everybody to go off and finish their trick-or-treating. All right, so one last thing before we start. We have said this at prior events. The RamsTV cameras are here tonight. If you direct your attention to the room, you'll make my colleagues feel really awkward. Angie and Will, who are at the back of the room. I hate this bit. We are filming everything. This will go out in its entirety, I think, tomorrow evening. So please, we would ask, don't film, don't take clips, because we've just had experiences where things get taken out of context, and it will be available to everybody to watch in full. And on a similar line, please refrain from sort of live commentary on social media. Again, we just don't want things taken out of context. Hopefully everybody's okay with that. Thank you very much. And I've done a lot of talking, so let's bring some other people on stage to join me. Please welcome from Derby County's men's first team, Kenzo Goudmijn and Nathaniel Mendez-Laing. Coming, I promise. Keep the applause. Here they are. Well, here's Nat anyway. the longest round of applause I think most people in the room have ever been involved with. One of these gentlemen has asked me to speak slowly, so Nat, I'll do my best for you. Okay, mate. We'll start with Kenzo. Welcome to Derby once again. How are you enjoying your time here so far?
Yeah, really good. I feel like I've been settling in on the pitch and off the pitch as well, for me and my family. So everybody's been really helpful. I feel good, and I'm really happy to be here.
How long did it take for him to feel like part of the team, Nat?
I think it was quite early, to be honest. I think all the new lads, they settled in really well, really quick. We've got a great bunch of lads in there, and yeah, look, he's a top guy, top player, obviously, and really nice family too.
There's lots to talk about with both of you, and I will go around the room shortly and try and get some questions from the crowd as well. But just to satisfy me for a moment or two first, Nat, you've been here for a large part of the journey back to the Championship and played such a big role in it as well. Give me your reflections on certainly the last year and the journey that you've been on at Derby County.
Great memories. I think, look, when I came to the club, we had a goal to get the club back to the Championship, and obviously falling short of the playoffs the first year was really tough to take. But you know, I think it was a great season last season for everyone involved, to get the club back to the Championship and to be a part of something really special. You know, something I'm proud of, and you know, a great bunch of lads who have done it with as well.
I know lots of people have lots of different answers to this question. If there was a moment that you really felt it was going to happen, I mean, Bolton at home was such a big win. I know Oxford away when you came back from 2-0 down in a game that you never really looked like losing, actually, despite going 2 down. Was there a moment for you, maybe a game or maybe something at Moor Farm, where you just thought, this is going to happen with this group?
I think there was a lot of moments in the season where, like you just said there, Bolton, Oxford, but when I really thought this is going to be the time, I would probably say Cambridge away. I think that was, you know, I remember having a little chat with Birdie before that, and you know, me and Birdie were quite close off the field, and he told me that he's going to score the goal to send Derby back up, and I was like, no, I will. So we still argue to this day about whose goal was more important, but yeah, I think for me it was.
Well, he's gone now, so.
Yeah, I'd say the Cambridge game.
Kenzo, you arrive a little bit later. What was the process of joining Derby County? I mean, when did those conversations start?
I think when word came out I was going to leave my old club, Derby was there pretty quick. I obviously knew about the club. And how big the club was. So as soon as I started, as soon as I heard they were interested, I was interested the other way around. So from there on, I think it took like 3 to 4 weeks with conversations, and then I was here for my medical.
I always love to hear from new signings what their first conversations with Paul Warne were like, because he can be, where is he? Is he in the room somewhere? He can be a character, as I think he will admit. What things did he say to you when you first got in touch?
I think the first question he asked me was something completely not about football, which kind of surprised me. So I was there in the Zoom meeting, ready to speak about football, and he asked me, tell me something about yourself which doesn't have anything to do with football. Kind of was quiet for like 30 seconds, me sitting there, English. And I think this describes as well the great feeling I had immediately, because I appreciate when people treat you as people and not just I'm the coach up here, and you all have, of course we have to listen to him, but still you can speak with him, which I really felt from the first moment, which was a big reason I had a good feeling about coming here. So yeah, I think that's how you all see him, and I see him the same way.
When I last spoke to Jakob Vidal-Zetterstrom about joining Derby and coming to England, he said that the biggest change has been driving on the other side of the road.
Yeah, this and the supermarkets is really different.
What's been the biggest change for you in life?
I honestly got this question in an interview from back home, and I said the same thing, driving on the other side of the supermarket. And yeah, I think this is outside of football, and in football, I think the pace and the intensity which the English football's played is different from what I'm used to, and I feel like I'm settling in more and more, and can make a difference in my way of playing, what I bring from somewhere else.
You look like you're settling in very well indeed.
Thank you.
Nat, you've spent some time in a different environment over the last couple of seasons as well, away on international duty. Give us a bit of insight into what it's like going and playing with Guatemala.
It's very different, very different. Obviously the weather, the heat, humidity, the facilities that you have, the fields. It's a big change, but it's also a great experience, and obviously something that's really special to me and my family. But I can't lie, it's tough, like the travelling, the time difference, having to try and get into their time zone quick, ready for a game, and then coming back, trying to do the same thing back this way. But like it's part of my journey, and like I'm enjoying it. So hopefully we can do something successful with the country.
What about the fan base that you've managed to bring to Derby? Because I feel like every time any social media post goes out, there's just a flurry of Guatemala flags underneath everything.
To be fair, it's great, obviously, but at the same time, I know it must annoy a few people.
Not the social media manager. He'll take
fair,
any engagement
like,
he can get.
I can't even speak Spanish, so half the comments on my page, they could be calling me all sorts. I don't know. But yeah, look, it's still obviously it's a nice following. They have got some great supporters out there, and it's fun to be a part of.
Great stuff, gents. Thank you. I'm going to cast my eye across the room and see if any hands go up for any questions from the crowd. If not, I'll have to keep going. Can we spot anything? Anyone? Can you see anyone, boys? Come on, we'll go this way. Just because I can't sit still for too long. Just give the guys your name and ask your question, please.
Name's Amo. Questions to Kenzo. I mean, I hear that the players have to do initiation when they join. What did you have to do?
From the team itself, from the lads, nothing really, but we did have to, when I was on the training camp in Spain, like a presentation about yourself with some topics. So me getting better at English more and more, it was a big, how you say this, a big task for me. But I think after the training camp with this particular thing as well, it kind of helped me to grow into the group and let the guys know me more on a personal level as well. So this is what I had to do. No singing or something. So now I'm happy.
Do you want to sing now if you really want?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, it's all right.
Nat, we'll give you the chance, no?
I'm no good at singing.
Any other questions? If people want to just pop their hands up, I'll try and get round to you. Again, if not, I'll have to keep going. Any more for now? Yes, we'll come this way.
Hi, my name's Sam. As you were growing up, who was your, so question to both of you, who was your inspiration within football?
For me, it was Thierry Henry. It was just a big footballing idol growing up. Just the way he wore his socks, the way he played, his pace, skill. That was someone I looked up to, and I aspired to try and be like as much as I could when I was growing up.
I think for me, in the same way, this was Messi, which I always loved to watch, the way how smart he walked in possession, got on the ball, and the things he did was just out of this world. So, yeah.
Next question, where are we going?
Hi there, it's Craig. One question for Nat, just in terms of the major difference between League One and Championship. I have to say, from a fan perspective, volume of long throws coming into our box seems to have decreased substantially. But just from your perspective, good to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, look, I think like Kenzo touched on there, from the intensity, the game is at a high intensity for large parts of the game. There's times where you might not see the ball if you give it away for a large chunk of time. Obviously, there's a lot more quality players. Teams that can punish you, very possession-based teams, like you said, not so much long balls. But I think we've adapted well to it, and we stick to our game plan, and I think we'll be doing all right.
Kenzo, what have been the big changes on the field? How have you found the Championship compared to the standard and the style you were playing last season?
I feel like, of course, in the Dutch league, you have some teams on top of the table in pace of on the ball and position can play really fast. But then, on the other hand, every team in the league tries to play football. And I know here there's some teams who play more direct and more on the physical side of the game, which is it's not worse or better. It's just another way of playing football. And I feel like that's the biggest difference I have to adapt to. Because, like I said, every team in the Dutch league just tries to play football, keep the ball on the ground, have as many passes as possible before scoring a goal. So that's, I think, the biggest difference.
Where's our next question coming from? Scanning the room. 2 hands at once. We'll go here, and then we'll go to the gentleman at the back.
Hi, Brad here. Question for both of you, really. What would be your opinions as players in terms of VAR, pro or against, having it in the Championship? We were obviously here for the Norwich game where we saw some hideous officiating, let's put it frank. What would be your opinions? Would you like to see it brought in, or are you happy without it?
You want to go first?
Well, honestly, the last 2.5 years I've played with VAR. So every time something like this happens, it's the second time in the Championship now. So the Norwich one, I saw it was out, and I kind of had in my head, we'll be all right, we'll be safe. Didn't happen. So in my opinion, I'm kind of used to it. I feel like once VAR is your friend, you love it. You tell, it should be there. And if it was the other way around, we'd be like, this is what makes football. So I wouldn't mind it being there. I think it helps the game in some points, but on the other hand, I feel like it's the real football from back in the day as well, without it being there. So.
Yeah, I think touching on that, I think in the Norwich game, obviously them 2 decisions were awful, but I think one went in our favour as well. I think Colo was stood in front of the keeper. So I think, look, when it works in your favour, it's fine. But when it goes against you, you hate it. So I'm more of an old school person. I prefer the game how it was back in the day. So I would rather say no.
Just to follow up on that, Kenzo, with your experience of playing with VAR, did it affect you or the team when you scored a goal? I mean, did you celebrate? Were you able to celebrate, or are you second-guessing yourself every time?
Well, sometimes the goal is valid, so you just celebrate. I must say there's been a moment for myself as well. I played, I don't know if anybody's been to the Netherlands for a game, but Feyenoord, they have a really big stadium, good atmosphere, a bit hostile. And I scored a goal, but it was really close to offside. I thought if I celebrate now, really happy, and they call me back, I don't have so much fun anymore. So honestly, it does affect the game, of course, but it makes it more honest as well. And what I didn't like is sometimes it takes too much time. So it would just be standing there for 4 to 5 minutes, which is, in my eyes, a downside to it. But.
Let's go for our next question, which I think was round here, if it's still valid.
Steve, Mendez, does it affect you being captain of the team? Does it affect your game?
No, I don't think so. It's an honour to captain the club. I've got a great bunch of lads, a manager who trusts in me. So, look, the size of Derby, it's a massive club, and with pressure, I feel like I don't hide away from pressure. It's something that I've always, I've kind of got that head on. So, no, I don't think so, no.
You've got a strong sort of group of seniors, don't you, Nat? Can you tell us a little bit about who is in that group and sort of how you work together?
Yeah, there's a few senior pros in our dressing room, and I think like the gaffers mentioned it before, look, wearing the armband is obviously a great thing and you're the captain, but it's around my teammates, you know, we're all captains, especially the senior pros in that group. You know, you got Fozzie, Colo, Naus, there's quite a few in there, Ozzy. So it's not just like there's captain and everyone else. We have so many leaders in the dressing room, and we all try to help the younger lads.
Any more questions from the floor? We can walk this way. Yep, we'll go this way.
My name's Seth, and who's your favourite teammate for both of you?
Good question, Seth.
Seth, you put me on the spot here, mate.
Mendez.
Yeah, Kenzo. Look, I get on with all the lads. Like I said, we actually are a real tight-knit group. I'm not just saying that for the fun of it. We are a very close group. Obviously, some people I see more outside of football. Like I used to drive, well, I don't anymore, but I used to drive in with Kane quite a lot, as we're both from Birmingham. So Corey as well, Blackett Taylor. So I wouldn't say I have a favourite teammate, but probably some that I see a bit more than others.
Good question. We'll come down here for the next one.
Hi, I'm Sam. Have you always played in the same positions, or like growing up, did you play in different positions? Or the both of you?
When I was really young, I was playing as a striker just to make goals. Honestly, I feel like a lot of footballers played there when they were really young. When I got a bit older, it's always been midfield. I've played on the wing as well. Never in defense, I think, but I've played on a lot of positions. Feel all of them in the midfield and right wing and left wing. So.
Yeah, I think like most people, we were all strikers when we were young. We all think we can score goals. Still can't now. But yeah, I think for me it was always wide or up front, yeah.
Where are we going for our next question? Any more hands? You're going to make me walk all the way back across the room. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Ollie. I just want to ask, from a player's point of view, what do you guys think on how we can improve on the pitch going forward?
I'll leave that one
Gasps
for you, mate.
around the room.
I don't really understand Mendez.
Just wait for the gaffer to leave. Look, I think our main issue at the moment, I'd say we need to be a lot better in the final third. I think we're creating chances. We just need to put the ball in the back of the net. Just picking that right pass, the final ball. Look, we're always a hard-working team, but I think just regaining the ball and our final pass to try and cut teams open, I think, is where we should improve.
Anything to add, Kenzo? Or?
Nah, sounds good.
I'll give everybody a few minutes to think of some more questions before I go back out onto the floor. One thing I've been meaning to talk to you about, I noticed, I think early in pre-season, at the end of every training session, you and David Ozo and Ibu Adams would play a game of two-touch, I think it was. And it always looked competitive. I've asked, people might have seen the interviews, I've asked Ibu about it, I've asked David about it, who I think said...
Very curious what they said.
I think one of them certainly said you didn't play anymore because they kept winning. So I wanted to get your side of the story, because I'm fascinated as to how that started in the first place between the three of you.
I can't imagine him, I don't know who it was, him saying it with a straight face. It's of course not true. Well, it started by just, I don't know, footballers play a lot of two-touch, let's be honest, after training. And I think I can say of myself, I'm a technical player. I like to play the game. And I started playing with them. And I was new, so I didn't really talk too much. I wasn't like, see me. I just played and I won and I won and I won. So, so they kept challenging me, and then they kept playing all the balls to me, just trying to make me lose, and I didn't lose. So it kind of became a thing, and now we keep playing, and they just every week there's a new winner, new champion of the week. So that's what how it started.
But it's usually you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
We might have to send the cameras down to get
Nah,
this.
you can ask them. They know, definitely.
How, Nat, do sort of friendships and relationships develop within a side? Because you talked about some of the people you were close to. How do those things sort of mature throughout a group?
I think things like that. Obviously, relationships on the field as well. But I think off the field, look, we've got tennis table at the training ground and pool. You know, like we beat him all the time and he gets upset. But it's just like banter, and it brings you closer together. I think like we had the family day not too long ago.
You just want to explain a little bit for people that aren't aware of that, what it was?
Yeah, so we basically we had a family day where, you know, the wives, girlfriends, children, family members all came down to the training ground after training. Some of the older kids watched training, and then we had, you know, thankful to the chairman, they put on the bouncy castles, food, drinks for the families, and we all just got to know each other a little bit more than, you know, our partners coming to the game and just speaking in the players' lounge. It was a real special day for everyone to kind of get to know each other a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. If I can add, it was, for me, especially coming here from a different country, it was a good thing for me to meet everybody also, but also my girlfriend who came with me. And I saw with multiple new players and other people, it's nice in a setting like this to get to know each other.
It's important to remember the families, isn't it? Because, you know, people think about football and jet set lifestyle and all that sort of thing, but there is a massive pressure that's put on them. How has your partner found coming to England with you and the adjustment that she's had to make?
I honestly can only, I don't know the right word, but applaud her. She's been amazing and settling in really well. Of course, it's difficult. You don't always notice because I'm on the road so much and keep playing games, and I have, she always says, yeah, when you go somewhere, you have 20, 25 new friends. And, you know, and for her, this is different. But she's been settling in really well, and it helps me as well to come home and not be all by myself. So I'm happy. I don't have to do it alone because moving countries is not a small thing.
And for Nat, for you, how much do the kids love Dad being a famous footballer?
Yeah, I don't know if they know about famous right now, but they love coming to the games. You know, like my daughter, she's a real Derby fan. You know, anytime I've got my tracksuit on, she's screaming, you know, Derby, Derby. She loves Rami. Well, she says she loves them, and as soon as she sees them, she starts crying. But yeah, my kids, they love coming here. It's like a second home for them, I guess.
This might be a delicate question, but are you her favourite player?
I would hope so. I should hope so. I know, like Kane's little boy. I think he understands like the players' names a lot more than like my daughter does. So she only knows Daddy. But I think like his son's got a favourite player every week, and he's just like, it should be me.
You mentioned earlier, Kenzo, about driving on the other side of the road, and that's what you tell people back home. What do you tell them about the football and about the changes in football?
Well, the same thing I just explained about the differences. That's what everybody keeps asking, and then they always ask, and how are you finding it? And I'm like, easy. No, no, I'm just like I said, I feel like I'm settling more and more. But yeah, they always ask about the differences, and then they always ask, so which one's better? And I'm always like, this is way better. So you should all come, and so it's good. And what they all ask about as well is the ambience in the stadium, because they know in England it's really good. They know the stadium is big, and I can only tell them positive things. It's amazing every time I step on the pitch. So,
did you always want to play in England? Is that still the thing that everybody wants to do?
I don't know about everybody. I know I always had in mind I would love to play in England. I think the competition is really really good. I feel the club is it's an amazing club. So for me, yeah, it was like I said before, when they told me they were interested and the conversation started going, I just had a great feeling like this was my place to be.
Have we got any more questions from the floor at this stage? Yes, we do. Excellent. We'll go this way first. Wait.
Hello, my name's Wayne. We've had some great players wear the shirt and play for this great club, one of which just got his MBE today. How would you guys, who might end up as one of the great players, like to be remembered for Derby County? That's for both of you.
I think, like you just said, like it's just special memories. You know, I think like the promotion, for example, I think that's something that will be forever remembered. And you know, for me personally, I would love to be involved in a team with Derby that could get promoted to the Premier League, back to the Premier League.
Yeah, of course, the end, what he said is definitely the same for me. And me coming from a different country, I hope when one of you hears something about the Netherlands, you will be in a couple of years of time. Oh, we had one Dutch player once. He was good. I would love that.
Excellent. Another question. We'll go here.
Hello, my name's Ian. I was wondering, the FA Cup third round, if you had like a team that you'd really like to pit against in any Premier League or whatever, who would it be?
It's got to be Forest, isn't it? Forest at home. So it's a game that obviously I've never been involved in, and I've seen it many a times on telly and whatnot. But it's just a derby that I would love to be involved in on the winning side, obviously.
Kenzo, any dream opponent in the FA Cup?
Not really. Just being honest, I would love to play against a good team, show ourselves again, but I don't really have one in mind right now.
Excellent. And next question. There was a hand up around here somewhere. Yes, there we are.
Hello, Cal here. This is for Kenzo, but Mendez can answer it as well if he wants. Before you came to Derby, and before you had any inkling that you were going to be signed by Derby County Football Club, what were your memories of this football club? Were you even aware of it? Did you know of any players or any events from years back?
I wouldn't really say I knew a lot about history-wise, but honestly, I'm not... like my old club, for example, I couldn't tell you about 19-something as well. And that's not meant in a funny way. It's just true. I'm born in 2001. Of course, I've known about the club. Like I said, I knew how big the club was, and once you know they're interested, you start, how do you say, do your research as well. And I know about the things that happened like a couple of years ago. I know they were on the way up. Knew about the promotion, of course, and yeah, all the positive things and the history I could get behind, like knowing is made my choice.
To be honest, my last memory of Cardiff before Derby before I came was when Cardiff. Sorry, yeah. Derby was when we came here with Cardiff and the game got called off because of the snow.
The snow was
absolutely
terrible.
No snow at all, and we came back for the replay and got beat. So yeah, it was fuming.
I mean, I couldn't get off my drive that morning, Nat. So, any more questions for the boys? We'll go back down to the front, maybe for one more.
Hi, boys. Being professional sports people, you obviously have to stick to a very strict diet. But what I would like to know is, what's your favourite takeaway?
I think mine would have to be an Indian, I think. Yeah, I love an Indian.
What's your order? Be more specific. Come on.
To be fair, do you know what? I leave it to the missus. She's very good with her orders, so I'm just like, yeah, you get it and I'll eat it. Yeah. Sorry, that sounded funny.
Honestly, mine is it's not here in England. The family from my father's side is is from Suriname, and I absolutely love their food. So it has been my favorite takeaway forever. But I can't get it here, so I'm just trying things out, like in the Indian food. Whatever I can find, and my girl cooks, but I still need to find out, if I'm being honest.
Excellent question. Thank you very much indeed. We started a little bit earlier with the guys, so we're going to finish earlier as well to let them get away. A busy week coming up for them with the 3 games. Nat, Kenzo, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Let's hear it for the boys. We'll let the guys escape. We'll have a 15-minute break or so. Remember, the bar is closed. There is water available. The guys from the supporters board are around if you wanted to say hello and ask them any questions. We'll be back in 15 minutes with Stephen Pearce and Paul Warne. Thank you very much. Welcome back to our Fans Forum, once again brought to you by our friends at Fan Hub. We're a couple of moments away from Paul Warne joining us on stage. First, we wanted to give everyone a little bit more information, a few more details about the supporters board. So to explain a bit more, please welcome to the stage Hilary Leam and Derby County Chief Exec Stephen Pearce. Hilary, thank you for joining us for this, and I think you're going to do most of the talking, but Stephen will sort of chip in where appropriate from the club's perspective, because one of the things we should stress is that the supporters board is independent of the football club. Can you just give us a little bit of background as to what it is and how you were all selected for it?
Yeah, so the supporters board's been quite a long time in the making. So we have worked a long time. Those of us on the supporters charter group, the SCG, that some of you will be aware of, have worked quite a while to understand what could the role of a supporters board be at Derby County and what would that be. And I have to say, it's been a long but very, very collective process. We've worked very hard with the club. And I think the key thing I want to just stress is, why is it important? Because I've been a season ticket holder for 42 years. I'd like to think I don't look old enough, but I know I do. And in that time, we've had Robert Maxwell, who nearly took our club into administration. We had the 3 amigos, and of course we've had the more recent experience where the club did go into administration. And for me, the supporters board is part of the jigsaw that helps us as fans remember that we're about community. We are the constants in this club more than anybody else. So the supporters board is really alongside the SCG to ensure that supporters are really represented and that our voices are heard, and independently of Stephen and the other people, we can challenge and question appropriately around that. And the process, in terms of how it's selected, there were 80 applicants, I believe, who applied for a position on the supporters board. We worked really closely with the FSA, that's the Football Supporters Association, and Ashley Brown, who's here today, was part of the panel who went through the selection process. And there were 2 types of appointments. So I'm part of the SCG, and Jazz is from Punjabi Rams. We're both from the SCG. So we were appointed from our membership. And then the independent members. Do you want to explain a bit more about that process, Stephen? Because I didn't do that bit.
Yeah. So in terms of the other independent members, the FSA, so through with Ashley's help as well, sifted through the applicants, and we had the assistance as well of Ben Perkis, who was previously with the PFA, and they sort of whittled down in terms of the potential candidates that were shortlisted. And then the interview panel, when we got through to that, was myself plus Ben and Ashley from the FSA. So we did a couple of days, I think it was, in terms of the interview process with that, and the appointments were made from there.
How will the board interact with the other board? So sort of how often will you meet, and how will the scrutiny sort of work?
So at the moment we're in a bit of a setup mode, so we didn't know, any of us didn't know each other until probably about 2 months ago. So we're meeting a little bit more often at the moment to set terms of reference, to ensure that fans know how to reach us, because ultimately we're here to represent the fan base, and so we want to make sure that people know who we are and they can talk to us. Going forward, we plan to have quarterly board meetings, and we've just been setting the schedule. So when's the right time to talk about budgets? When does that happen from a Derby County point of view? When is there something useful for us to discuss? And then the supporters charter group is equally important, and that looks at a lot of the operational issues. So I know there's been questions already of us tonight about safe standing and some of the other things that the SCG typically leads on and will still lead on. And the way we're going to work it out is that at least 2 of us will go from the supporters board. So 1 independent, and either myself or Jazz from Punjabi Rams will go to the SCG to make sure we've got that communication running between the 2 groups, because it's holistic. This is about overall how we as fans talk to the club. And this is not the sexy stuff, right? This is not Paul coming up in a minute to talk about, but this is really, really important, because we need this club to be here for my nephews, for your kids, for your grandkids. And when things go wrong, this is really important. When things are right, it's just great. And we as a supporters board are loving the level of engagement. It's very honest, it's very transparent, and it's been very committed from Stephen and from David and for the rest of the team. But it will be really important that fans always, always have a massive voice in this club.
And that's why, Stephen, it was important for the club, wasn't it?
So yeah, I mean, David said it from day one, and it was one of our main objectives, is that we wanted to be try and be a front runner with this. So you've got the government white paper that was done, and you saw some of the publicity last week in terms of potential legislation that's coming through Parliament. We wanted to get ahead of the curve because we believe in it. We think it's right. There will be some sort of standard items on there that are protected, that the supporter board will have sort of a veto on. So things like moving away from Pride Park, or selling Pride Park, or changing the name or the crest and the colours. But at the same time, it's about the governance. So as Hilary said, there'll be certain times of the year we'll discuss season ticket pricing or potential generic, what we want to try and do with football strategy or the finances, or when it comes around to audit, or in terms of the community strategy, all cyclical things that will happen. But at the moment, we're sort of meeting probably monthly to get up to speed with everything. And we had the last meeting about a week ago. So brought along all the senior department heads that met, 'cause we just wanted to give comfort to the supporters board as well, that all the staff that are running this amazing club on a day-to-day basis have got such love for the club, such experience, and have been here for 10, 15, 20 years. So it's just to try and give that initial comfort and confidence, but also for them to move forward and be able to check and challenge us.
Hilary, just finally, if people want to get in touch with any of you, what's the best way to do that?
Well, obviously we're here tonight, so feel free to grab any of us as members, but we do have an email address that's set up totally independently of the club. So it's very exciting. It's on the club website, but it's a supporters board at dcfc.co.uk. And just to emphasise, that's our email address. The club don't see what you email into us. If we can't help you, we'll endeavour to point you into the right person that can. But it's for us to deal with your queries, your questions, and anything else. And that's up and running as of now, so you can contact us that way.
And I think one final bit you may have touched on slightly, Hilary, but in terms of one of the main differences around the SCG, I guess, and the supporters board is the SCG, we want to try and continue with sort of the match day experience. So it's anything to do with that sort of on a match day side of things, whereas the supporters board is more around governance. So that's where we're trying to head with it.
Oh, Hilary, thank you very much indeed, and we wish you and the rest of the board all the very best. Thank you very much. Hilary, everybody. Thank you very much to Hilary. Just a reminder to everyone before we welcome the next man up, who's very excited. I'm looking at him hiding at the back of the room. Never known him so nervous. If you would please continue to refrain from filming, from live tweeting or Xing or whatever it's called. This will all be available in full to watch back on RamsTV, I think, tomorrow evening, so we appreciate that. Anyway, here he is. Please welcome Derby County men's head coach, Paul Warne. We actually have some questions sent in for the pair of you already, which we will get to. Before I try and get some from the room. But let's kick off with just like a general state of play, Paul. We are 12 games in. Did you know, by the way, you're the second longest serving Championship manager? Isn't that mad?
Why are people laughing? Obviously, I knew that. I'm doing my best to kill the longest running one to get the gold badge. What's the question? Hello, everyone, by the way. Thanks for coming.
Just how do you think it's going, first 12 games? That well?
Yeah, I don't want to just... I mean, obviously, I do have a problem when I talk. I say a lot of things. I don't want to... I'm trying to get it in a concise way. I think we've done really well. I think the lads have performed really well. Their out-of-possession stuff's been excellent. How hard they work for the team, and all 11 have to work really hard. Is probably encapsulated by Jerry at the top of the pitch at times. I just don't think we've been as crisp at the top end as I would like. And the games, even more so in the Championship, come down to very, very small margins. And we probably haven't been on the right side in a couple of games. But generally, I'm really proud of how well they've worked, and that's a major thing. They don't miss a chance on purpose, or Curtis doesn't kick it against a Millwall striker on purpose. They're just random things. But generally pleased. I just wish we would have, and every manager up and down the country would say this, wish we had a little bit more. I think we deserved an extra couple of points than what we've got. I still feel cheated by the Norwich game. And so I think we're more deserved of points, but I am aware of the gravity of the league and the quality of the opposition, so the lads get a massive credit.
And Stephen, I mean, you can chip in with the on-the-pitch side as well, but off the pitch, can you sum up sort of the state and the health of Derby County at the moment?
Listen, we're really, really happy on both elements. I think to echo what Paul said, if we'd have looked to this point last year to think where we are now and the progress again that we've kicked on and made, we couldn't be happier. I think we've had a great summer. And we're doing great in terms of that side. Off the pitch as well, you can see the club's kicked on again, as I said, off the pitch. Fantastic support from all the fans and the supporters, with the season ticket holders, the crowds. I mean, 29,800 on Saturday is phenomenal. And we were up there with, one of the clubs that has the highest attendances last season in League One. So to be kicking on again in the Championship is fantastic. So really, really pleased with where we are.
In fairness, while I remember, I apologise to the fans' charter that I heard you say all the heads of departments. Obviously, I'm not head of a department because I wasn't invited to that meeting, was I?
That's because we're doing football strategy later in the year.
Oh, okay. I was thinking I'm giving my car keys to David on the way out. This is my good night tour, but I'll enjoy it.
You love a meeting, though, so...
I love a meeting.
We do have to stop it after an hour, though, because the child in the room loses attention span.
Yeah, that is true.
We will go out to the crowd for some questions in a minute,
Okay.
but we have had some sent in. I'll go through these. So C. Clark sent a few in on specifics. Is a new contract for Curtis Nelson being discussed? It's up in the summer. I believe he'd be a massive loss. Signings in the summer, massive. How long were Kenzo and Jakob watched for? And is Jerry Yates a permanent option if he impresses? So I don't know how specific either of you want to get. But
Okay, as you well know, I am like a goldfish, so if you do it in order, tell me the first name.
Curtis Nelson, new contract.
Curtis Nelson, all the players are under scrutiny all the time. Curtis does have an option on his contract at the end of this season, so as always, we review him all the time, and that will be reviewed again soon.
Kenzo and Jakob, how long were they watched for?
Kenzo was watched a lot more so than Jakob, if I'm honest. Jakob came onto our radar late in the season. Because of the way their seasons go, we were able to go out. So I went out to Sweden and watched him live the day that we flew. I mean, this is a disgusting story, and I won a lot of sympathy, by the way, when I tell you this. So when it was the England-Spain Cup final, me and Andy, the goalie coach, who looks a lot older than me but isn't, we went to Sweden, to Stockholm to watch. That was the final tick in the box, really, to go and watch Jakob play. So he'd been on our radar a little bit, but we needed to get live eyes on him, so we went to see him, and then we had to fly down to our training camp in Spain with loads of Spanish. And when the game was on, and the captain said, "Oh, great news, Spain are winning," and we were like, so that was that. Kenzo had been on our recruitment team, done really well. Obviously, we have to try and scan long and far, and we knew that I really wanted a technical midfielder, someone who could play through the lines a little bit. So we narrowed it down, and then same thing. Andy and Hammy went to watch him live after the scouts had been twice to watch him live. That was a lot harder than he made it sound, by the way. I heard his answer earlier. I mean, he's one funny kid, isn't he?
I did not know he was so funny.
Anyone who, put your hands up if you're funny in a second language, please let me know. But he is one funny kid. But when he said, "Oh, yeah, we had a meeting and Gaffer just asked me about my life," and I signed, it didn't seem that easy, did it, in fairness? Especially when it started off that his dad was a coach at that club, and the club said, "Look, he's not for sale," you know, the usual sort of thing. And then we managed to force him into a meeting, and that was a disaster because it was a Zoom meeting. Were you on that Zoom meeting? And his agent didn't work out how to turn his speaker off. So there was like, he was in one room, we were in another, his dad was in another, and I was saying, "Could you please tell the agent, like, there's all this reverberation." His secretary was coming in going, "Huffy, do it." We're going, "Look, we can't hear what..." Honestly, it was so painful. So I'm amazed we got the first question of Kenzo. So he was on our radar for about 4 or 5 months, and we were really pleased to get him, but it was a harder thing. So that's that one done. Is there another one?
Well, let me just...
Okay.
I was going to say the hardest one, I think, was Jakob, or call me Jacob, as we can say, but he's like literally, because that deal, after you'd been there, they didn't want to release him because they were playing in Europe. So I'd done the deal, and then it was like, well, yeah, that's fine, the deal's done, but he can't come because we're playing in Europe.
And they kept winning in Europe.
And they kept winning. So it was just an absolute nightmare. But their sporting director, I don't know if the people are aware of him, but he is like the most unbelievable character in the world. I've been warned about him, and they'd said, like, you know, he's like the hardest negotiator. He's like, pretends he doesn't understand English, and, you know, he's going to be a complete nightmare. So he always insisted on doing FaceTime videos whenever you called him. But whenever he seemed to call me, I think he's an ex-player as well, so he's obviously not short of a bow or two. And he'd always be sat in what he called his sun lounge, and he's like literally it was like a glass house which is on the side of his house. But he'd always be sat there, and bearing in mind in Sweden at that time of year, it's always bright, sunny. He'd be sat there in his shorts with his top off with a bottle of beer, and he'd just be like, look at the background. You'd be trying to talk to him, and all he's doing is just like changing the subject. And he's like, "I'm having a beer, are you going to grab a beer?" And he's like, "Look, we just want to get this sorted." And it was just going on and on and on and on. But in the end, like, we managed to get it done, but that was really long and drawn out. And at the same time, everyone back here is going, "What the hell's going on? Why is he not here? Why is he not..."
I mean,
we couldn't say anything.
I mean, I don't know if you know, but fans are quite interested on signings. I mean, I don't know if it's a news flash. I even had Lee ask me about January transfer window in October, which is a first for me the other day. So, yes, you all get excited. You're saying, what's happening? But, I mean, I never lie on presses, but I also obviously can't always say the truth. So if I'd have come out and said, "Oh, yeah, we've agreed a deal with this big Swedish freak, and it's all looking great. However, we've got to wait for him to come out of Europe," and it was going on, and it was becoming more awkward. So I appreciate your patience during the transfer windows.
But one good thing that's come out of it is we've got a really good relationship with them now. So they're actually playing TNS at Shrewsbury the day after we play Swansea. So they're flying over with 100 of their sponsors, and they're actually coming to the game the night before. I think they're all coming in here, so they're coming over to watch us play.
Spending David's money.
And the final part of the question was Jerry Yates' permanent option in the summer.
Jerry has got like 12 years left at Swansea, so respectfully, I don't see that happening.
Next question, the other question that we've had ahead of time, which is more for Stephen. It relates to away tickets being bought and resold on Facebook. Russell says, as a hard-working season ticket holder who works shifts, I'm limited in the games I can actually go to. So for people like me, and there are many others, we find it a bit insulting that the same people make a mockery of the away game ticket system, leaving us who actually want to go seeing sold-out posts by the club before they reach the levels of membership we're genuinely at. Is there anything the club can look at there?
Yeah, so we picked this up at the Supporters Charter Group meeting, and it's something that we've been dealing with. So we've actually made some steps, and we'll be taking action against that as we move forward. So it's something that we are aware of, and we're trying to clamp down on, definitely.
And Oasis tickets.
And Oasis tickets. That's what we've had ahead of time. I know Paul in particular is sick of answering questions from me. So we'll try and go to the floor if anybody has questions. Let's see the hands. We'll start at the front and then we'll come that way in a moment.
Question for Paul. Just a quickie, obviously on behalf of everyone here, just want to thank you and your team for what you've done for this great football club and continue to drive it forward, in particular last season's promotion. The question.
Thank you.
And on last season's promotion, you had a measure of 2 points per game, which obviously the team decided just to achieve for you on the last game, which is good.
Genius.
What are the measures for this season?
Oh, that's a good question. Good question. Every team meeting, if the lads were here now, they'd agree with me, but every team meeting I show them the league table. I don't show them who's below them. I always show them who's above them. And I'm always trying to grab the teams above us. So, and I know I'm in a room full of Derby fans, and it's obviously going to go on to YouTube or whatever, so it's not very well kept secret. But I think we've got to stay in the league. But I don't like saying that because it just sounds a bit. And I've never said that to the lads, but I'm always saying about if you average 1.5 points a game, when it comes to the last 10 games of the season, you've got to be there or thereabouts, and you just don't know. If you can average above that, you're cruising, obviously. But so that's what I've told them, and that's what we keep trying to reiterate. And the games, all the games we've lost so far this season have all been teams in the top 6. So it feels like they're not that far off. So yeah, so that's my answer. Can I answer this question as well? Because I know you want to ask me. When did I know when I thought the team were going to get promoted, which I loved? I sat at the back, and my answer was when James Collins scored against Carlisle. Because I turned to my assistant Rich, who's been through many a day with me, and I said, even we can't knacker this up. So, so at 2-0, it felt quite comfortable. So that was my answer.
Thank you very much. I think we had another question around here. Yep.
Evening both, Stuart Crooks. I've got 2 questions, if I may, both for Stephen.
Ooh.
So, first question is, when Derby County are in town, away, seems like every club wants to absolutely rinse us for the ticket prices. Prime example, last year, Wigan, Boxing Day, £30+. 3 days later, Carlisle, £16. What can be done with other clubs to regulate the price of the tickets to make it a bit more affordable? Because travel on top is getting even worse.
So that's in hand at the moment. So there's quite a few clubs, us included, that have been trying to lobby and work with the EFL. So we started conversations at the summer conference back in June, and they tried to do something this year, but it was too soon to get it all through. So we had a all clubs call probably 3 weeks ago, and I think there's a general consensus now. So I think, although it's not been voted through yet, but it looks like there'll be a cap on away ticket prices from next season, and even going so far as it might just be there is a flat price that every club charges, regardless of the club for next season. But that's the trend of the travel that everybody's talking about, and it's getting virtually unanimous support. So that will get fixed. And to be fair, one of the clubs that are trying to lead it is actually Leeds United, surprisingly enough.
Wow.
So yeah. So they have been one of the vocal ones trying to say we need to cap away ticket prices. So.
Okay.
Well, this is the challenge, is that from moving forwards next season, that's what they want to try and do. So the problem is once you've set them at the start of the season, you're not allowed to change them. So.
Okay, second question, a bit more difficult maybe. I'm in the south stand. Last season, we bounced off the east stand upper block. I think there's been some difficulties up in that block. When they're there, the atmosphere is 100% better. What can be done to bring that east stand block back? So maybe safe standing in that single block, because as I say, we bounce off them, the atmosphere is 100% better. It was quite flat on Saturday, to be honest.
So in terms of the safe standing in the east stand, again, we did cover that one at the last SCG, and we've talked about it for a while. We've gone through it with the Sports Ground Safety Authority and with the other safety authorities as well around what can be done. Safe standing is for the away sections and the south stand only, so we won't be moving it around to the east stand, unfortunately. The reason that it's on in the upper, and I think we've explained this before, is due to the rake of the stands, but ultimately in the future it will need to go into the lowers, but it's not a priority because the sort of steepness of the lower sections of the away and the south aren't as great. So we essentially got to the stage whereby if we didn't put safe standing in the away and the south this season, we'd probably start to get sanctioned by the Sports Ground Safety Authority. It got to the stage last season with the persistent standing in the east that we would have had to close blocks if people didn't stop the persistent standing. Now look, you do get the odd pockets here and there around the stadium, but I think the fact that it's large groups of people doing a persistent standing is what creates this safety issue, but it's not something that we can do or be looking to do in the future. Well, we will have to do that at some point, but as I said, because of it not being as steep as the top of the south stand, same with the away end, that is something that maybe will have to be done in the future. However, you do have to offer some seating as well in the away and in the south. It's just that because of there's less safety concerns, if you like, from the Sports Ground Safety Authority there than there are in the other stands. They've said it's a blanket no.
Thank you for that. Other questions? There's some over here. Loads of hands over here.
Hi, Brad again. Question for Paul, maybe slightly on topic at the minute after his wonder goal at Portsmouth last week, but ever since you joined the club, it seems like we've been linked with Michael Smith from Sheffield Wednesday all over social media. How close has that transfer ever been to actually happening, and do you think he would fit in your current sort of style of play and the way you play?
Well, I would firstly like to say good evening to Michael, because he'll be watching and following everything I say. In every window, he has been under discussion. He was a centre forward who I loved. He was really good. He led the line really well, worked really hard. I think last January, I put a phone call. I spoke to the Sheffield Wednesday manager, just cut the tripe out a little bit. And he wasn't someone that he wanted to loan out or release or anything. I didn't speak to Sheffield Wednesday this summer, and I don't intend to in the next window either. I think he's firmly in their plans, and so I'm not one who wants to go and pull people away from clubs and cause hassle. The manager said he's not available, so until I get told differently. And as much as I have had Smudge before and I know what he can do, and it was a wonder goal, I never saw him do that for me. But it was a good goal, and he is a good player. But respectfully, there's other players out there who potentially could do the same job, who might be younger. But if Smudge comes at the top of our transfer targets again, then it would be something I would revisit. But as politically correct as I can be with my answer at the moment, he isn't someone that I'm looking to bring back. Not bring back, but bring back to me, to my family.
We're still over here, gentlemen.
Oh, where? Oh.
Hi, Stephen. Hi, Paul.
Hello.
I also wanted to express my thanks on two counts. One chap beat me to it, though, Paul, for the absolute clear and obvious extra mile you're going to every day and every week for the football club. So thank you. Also, I really like the greeting that you give to the away fans every week, and long may that continue. My question, though, is in 3 seasons' time, how many academy players will be regularly pulling on a first-team shirt?
To Stephen.
We've had this conversation last week, haven't we?
We have, we have. It's a good question, to be fair. Look,
it's all on Matt Hale.
Yeah, so, yeah. In fairness, he said in 3 years' time there's a lot. The old classic academy manager trick, the old 3 years. You won't see him, Gaffer, but in 3 years' time. In fairness, look, I think, and I can say this, and David's in the room, there's a lot of investment in the Cat 1 Academy, immense amount of investment. So we obviously want to see players come through. However, during the admin and that, and I've said this in many interviews, and I know you know this, a lot of the best players got robbed, really. So it's going to take a little bit of time. There are some sprouts of regrowth, which is really good. I know you've seen Dave score, so that's the best kept secret I've lost. And there are some players that we're trying to integrate into the first team. Like at the moment, we have 25 first team players. Now that isn't how I want to run it, but that's how we've run it because of the situation we were in. I want to have ideally 20 to 22 first team players and then supplemented by 3 or 4 academy players. That's how I want it to be. However, it's not, it sounds awful, but I'm trying to be as professional about how I say it as I can. It's not a charity. So just because someone's in the academy, you know, they have to be good enough to be involved in training. So a good example of how I can word it is when we brought Marcus in and Nat in, and who else did we bring just before the window? Were they the last two, mate? Yeah, those two. I think they were those two. And Nat Mendez would have told you this tonight. The level of training went up a little bit because everyone moved along the bus, if that makes sense. The standard had improved a little bit. So you can't just throw 3 or 4 academy players into the first team group and hope that they learn by osmosis, because what ends up happening is the level of training might drop a little bit. So we're trying to not hybrid it, and it would have been better to ask Matt than me possibly, but we're trying to get the better players are trying to go out on loan, which helps. Like we got Dage out to Gateshead last year, which helped enormously. So I'm hoping that in 3 years' time there should be 3 or 4 of the academy players within the first team squad. Now, whether they're starters, subs or extras, I don't know. But that would be ideal. And from a selfish point of view, and I can say this honestly, if there is 3 or 4, that means I've got more money to spend on other things, which is, I mean, I know it's Halloween, but which would be great for me because then I can spend a better quality of player and I'm getting supplemented by an academy player. And eventually, I know no one likes to hear this, but the club becomes more sustainable. You bring players through, you sell them on, you know, and it's just a brilliant way to run a football club. And I like to see young people get an opportunity and I like to see local lads play. So when Day scored Saturday and everyone's singing, you know, he's one of our own, then he fakes injury to get a standing ovation. I thought it was a lovely 6 minutes of his career, so I thoroughly enjoyed it. So honestly, I want the kids to come through. I mean, what I definitely have put a footprint on, and Stephen and everyone on our hierarchy sort of thing knows that I'm obsessed with athletes, good players, good people. So like we should be able to produce them, and we should be able to get good kids through.
Was there one more question here?
Hi, Jim. It's been reported recently that we are looking into potential investors coming into the club. I was wondering if there's any timescale on that and if you could give us any update. And also, will there be any consultation with the new supporters board and discussion with them on that?
So to answer the first bit, there is no updates at the moment. So I think David was honest from day one that he would look for potential co-investors. We've got our business plan that we are working towards now. As we alluded to just a second ago, we had a sort of senior team meeting last week after the Oxford game. We stayed another day doing all of the strategy planning and everything with regards to where we're going next. So we've got our sort of strategy for moving forwards. That plan is fully funded by David and Cloud's developments. And in terms of new investment, yes, it's an ongoing process. There's no more updates on that front, and there's no urgency. But I guess as soon as there is anything to be discussed, it will be discussed first with the supporters board, absolutely. And I think in terms of everything that we talked about earlier on, what we've tried to put in place with the supporters board as well, puts those safeguards in place that proves that we're trying to take this seriously as well.
Any more questions in this part of the room or any part of the room at all?
That row of seating done quite well, to be fair, didn't it?
Saved my legs for 5 minutes. So.
Hi, it's Lucy. Paul, Kenzo said your first question to him was about non-football related. How would you answer that question yourself if you got asked it? Something that we don't know about you, maybe.
Yeah, well, I asked him to talk about who he was as a bloke. I think if I spoke about myself as a bloke, I think I would say that I'm really honest, I'm really sincere, I'm hardworking, a little bit crazy, and pretty motivated. When I spoke to Kenzo, why I always ask a player this is because every time he's kicked a ball from about the age of 16, I can watch it. So the level of downloads, or you can't say videos anymore, I sound like I'm in the 80s, but the downloads that now we can see every time he's kicked a ball, tackled, ran, everything. There's nothing we don't know about him as a footballer, but we just don't know what he's like as a person. So that's why I asked him that question. So I think I'm a little bit out there at times maybe, but generally a happy person who wants to enjoy life. And I appreciate sincerely the kind words you've said about what myself and the team and the players and everyone behind the scenes done for the promotion last year, but it was an absolute joy to be part of. It'll be something that stays with me forever. I'm fortunate I've had about 7 promotions in my life, 4 as a manager, I think, 1 as a coach. But that was right up there. I remember going to see David and Kath upstairs, said hello to them for a bit, and it was just a joy. Sincerely, it was just lovely to see the players that happy, because as anyone in football knows, there's only 11 who look happy, the other 11 or 12 don't. So everyone was so happy, everyone was so, so it was a real honour to be part of that in your little history.
Just to go back, Paul, I'm over here now. Just to go back to the whole first question with the player, do you get many players that fail that test, like the personality test?
No, not failure. I have met, this sounds awful, but I have met players for a coffee and I treat them and they have like a double milky thing with chocolate on top and then have a cake. And Hammy will tell you this, there's 2 players I haven't signed because of that. I just think you've got to play the game, at least play the game. Like, you wouldn't have a cake off a manager, would you? If I went and met Dave and he said, would you like a glass of champagne? I went, yeah. He'd walk into the kitchen and say to Kath, you ought to hear him out there, he wants a glass of champagne. So, so I have walked away from that. I just, I don't think anyone's ever answered anything. Sometimes they're really shy, so then I have to ask them another question and come in a different route. But I am generally interested in who they are and what they stand for. And and I understand it because this is football and everyone has opinions on who's the best right back, left back, centre forward. I understand that. But one thing I will definitely stand here in front of you and say is that the 25 players that we currently have in the club are amazing people, amazing players. They've got brilliant moral compasses, and that's why collectively, we might not have the outstanding players of the Championship, but at times we have a really outstanding team, and that's because everyone's pulling in the same direction behind the scenes and everything. So, no, I've never turned anyone down because of that.
Let's find our next question. Have we got any hands going up? I'll go back to the front.
I thought there'd be a lot of, why don't you play 2 up front with 2 10s? Yeah, there's still, yeah. I'm giving people confidence now. Why don't you play 2 up front?
Don't ask me anything like that.
Don't ask me.
No. So it's Ali, by the way.
Pleased to meet you.
So, first of all, a thank you for bringing Ibu to our club.
David's money.
And I think I'm just interested in how it all came about, the journey. It was sort of like a was he, wasn't he? And there was lots of pleading on social media. And it was one of those where when it eventually crossed the line, and when we saw that lovely piece of film of him walking into the swimming pool at near Torrevieja to greet all his fellow teammates, it was just sort of like the icing on the cake, really. Cake. But just wondered how it all sort of what the journey was and how we got to where we were.
Well, the initial part of the journey, why we signed him, is I tried to sign him 2 years before when he was at Forest Green. He was the best player in League Two at the time. He was a real athlete, box to box. I didn't think if we had a dearth of anything in our team, I thought it was a bit of muscle. We were, at Derby, I thought we were technically very good, but sometimes too nice. So I wanted someone who was a bit uglier. He's got a lovely smile, but he's a smiling assassin, so we wanted a bit of muscle. So when I tried to sign him, he signed somewhere else for more money. So he was always on our radar of a player that we liked, and obviously we took him. He done well on loan, and then we always wanted to sign him. Was that a deep breath? So I shouldn't say too much. No. Oh, okay. So then, obviously, we wanted to sign him. I was entitled to be in contact with him because he was now my friend. So I was allowed to. Well, he was, because I had his number. I wasn't doing anything illegal, but I was obviously speaking to him, making sure everything was all right, how his missus was, have you decided what you're doing yet, and then like that. So we had a few conversations like that. But then, obviously, the problem is that he's Cardiff's player. You have to be respectful in everything you say in the press. Everyone. I even got told that there was like a Twitter page about please sign, which was a disaster for us because Cardiff will see it and think, oh, we are cooking here. They will pay whatever because they're desperate for him. So we had to play it a little bit coy that we sort of were interested, but we weren't that bothered because that's how negotiations go, innit? If you turn up and go, look, the fans need him, like literally they're our door, like saliva going everywhere, but we need to sign him. They'd say, okay, you can have him for £3 million. We'd be like, come on, let's knock ourselves down a gear. So it took a lot longer than we wanted it to because we never obviously want to show our hand. We didn't obviously want to spend any more than we had to because it stops you from doing other stuff. So it did go on a long period of time. We knew that there was a point where we wouldn't go any further. We went past that twice. And then we ended up doing it just before we went away. But I think we knew the last week we were virtually there, but it was just a bit of to-ing and fro-ing and an extra 50p and, things like that.
Do you all have any insight to add to that, Stephen? Or
I think Paul's talked enough about it. We got it all there. No,
I heard him go,
no, I'm kidding. No, it's fine.
That was sort of what happened, wasn't it? Yeah.
Exactly
and
what
we
happened.
hadn't offended anyone at Cardiff.
Yeah, like I said, you get to a point where you end up just walking away, and I think we did get to that point, and that's when it all then clicked into place, because I think they just thought they're serious now, because we just got to that limit that we wouldn't go any further, and there's no way you'd go over that valuation, and then it all just clicks then.
Was there competition for him, do you know? Or?
Good question.
You're his mate. You're his mate. You'll know.
Yeah, we're mates. He didn't tell me, but he might have lied. No, I don't think anyone else in the champ wanted him.
I don't even. I think, to be honest, he probably wouldn't have gone anywhere.
No. His heart. I mean, we got him
He made it pretty obvious to them that he wanted to come.
We got him a Derby Ram tattoo before he left, so he sort of. He sort of had to come. If not, the first day having a shower at a new club would have been embarrassing with a Derby Ram.
And
on his chest.
every picture we put out on social media or anything from the football club was even crowd surfing. It's not doing as many favours, is it? So.
Let's find.
He's some kid, by the way, as well. What you see is who he is. Like he can't stop smiling. I mean, even if I dropped him, I think he'd smile about it. I haven't dropped him yet, have I? My God, I have to check that tomorrow.
Are there more questions from the floor? Yeah, we'll stay down here.
Oh, it's a long one.
Paul, it won't be long before the intense Christmas period is upon us and the demands that brings. So what I would like to know is, are you a turkey man or do you prefer something else?
Oh, good question. I thought it was going to be, what do you want for Christmas? That would have been good. I am a turkey man, massive turkey man, yeah. I mean, I'm from Norfolk, aren't I? So, Spurn and Matthews. I'm a massive turkey man. And, I'm turkeying all the trimmings, but my missus hates me for this, but I don't have roast potatoes or mash or Yorkshires. I'm just turkey and veg. Love stuffing, massive for stuffing. Yeah, well, yeah. Watershed. So I'm a turkey. What are you? A nut roast?
Everything.
Everything.
They're piled up.
My niece once done a nut roast. She went through a vegetarian phase. Any nut roast eaters in here? Amazing, isn't it? She did it 1 year, and then she was a meat eater the next year. I was devoed. It was amazing. So yeah, I'm turkey all the way. I love sprouts. In fact, the chef at the training ground taught me to do sprouts in like pancetta oil. I said
in the
to
oven,
Mrs.
not boiled.
You had to cook you had to boil the sprouts first. This is good, to be fair. I'm not even joking, it's that good. You boil the sprouts first, you fry the pancetta off a little bit so it's oily, then you put the sprouts in at the end. That's the only thing I did on Christmas Day. Yeah, give it a shake and a bit of jizz or whatever they do. But it's really good. So like that, like sprouts, loves parsnips. There's nothing I don't like, really, veg-wise. Cranberry, yeah. I'm a bit weird. My daughter has cranberry on virtually every meat, so she's learned that off me. But I love cranberry, but I like English mustard as well, so I have both. I know I've offended a lot of people. I apologise, but I have both. But that's also my Norfolk background, I think.
Thank you very much.
I could be here for hours, by the way. A good question.
Was there another? I think there's another question down here. Yeah, we'll come to this gentleman.
Hi, Paul.
Hi.
Some football stuff now.
Yes.
We've scored 15 goals this season in the league. 7 have been from set pieces, which is fantastic and carrying on what we did last season. But obviously, that leaves just 8 from open play. Is that something that's worrying you, and what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good question. You could have asked the lads that. Not so much. I mean, what about my toilet break timing? That was amazing. As I was leaving, what do you think the team could get better on? So it doesn't bother me where goals come from, right? So I'll put that out there first and foremost. If you are very good at set pieces, in them tight games, them 0-0s, you can turn them into wins. So I do love a set piece goal. And in fairness, I'm now looking like a trendier manager than I was 2 years ago, because Premier League now like set pieces. So now all of a sudden, like I had a Premier League club come after our set piece coach. That says a lot. So in regards to open play, it comes down to a few things. I don't think we're missing loads. I just think in the final third, our game isn't as crisp as it should be, or could be, is probably fair. So we have been working a lot this week on and I say this now and you watch Saturday and you think, he was lying. But a lot on the front threes, like sometimes an early cross is a good thing, but if you have to be patient, I just think sometimes we have to take a breath. So we've done a lot this week on showing them videos of our best practice with video training, showed them back the best practice in training, just trying to get a bit more of a link with the Hoover and a bit more of a link with the 8s and the wide players, really. I do not have a problem with Jerry, that's not true, but I always say to Jerry about being in the middle of the 6. Sometimes he does so much work around that he can't catch up play. So it's a sort of a bit of everything, and I do think as well that the midfielders have to chip in. So there was a video clip from Saturday's game. They played a goal kick. Ibu won it on the left-hand side, just short of the halfway line. We passed it forward, went into the box. We had 5v1 on the halfway line. The midfielders didn't back it up. They broke, switched it. Kane fell over, and they nearly scored. I don't know if you can remember all that. So I was reiterating to the midfielders, like, they've got to be more aggressive with their positions in the box. It's not just the responsibility of the front three. So, you know, we keep encouraging the midfielders to shoot. We keep encouraging interplay in the final third, and then you have to rely on the quality of your player as well.
Any more questions? I think we've got time for probably one more with Paul, to be honest, but probably a couple more.
Yeah, I'm having a great time.
What's the best job? What's the best part of the job that you're currently doing? And another one for you, Paul. Home matches. Why do we bring everybody back on their corners?
Great question. I get this at every fans forum. That I even said this to you before. I can tell you that. That's fine. Do you want to go first? Best part of your job? Sitting beside me talking. You can tell me. Do you want me to go first or second? The reason I bring people back from corners is because there's a greater chance you conceding off a corner if you leave someone up than there is on scoring from a counter-attack. So the only time I'll leave someone up is if we're 2-0 down with 5 minutes to go and I might as well lose 3-0. I know it doesn't sound great, but you might as well try and get back into the game. So that's the only time the risk is worth it. I think if you look at virtually all of the top teams, and I include Man City in this, they all come back. It's just a thread. I had someone ask me every time at my previous club, every fan forum, why don't you leave 2 up from a corner? And it was the same bloke. I'd be like, come on, mate. I tell you every year. So that's my honest reason, that I don't want to concede off it. I cannot concede. Like our record, if we hadn't conceded the goal at Sheffield United from a free kick, we were the top team in the champ for our defending set pieces, and I'm proud of that, and it's a lot of work from Rich. So it's a good thing to have, and if Jakob is so good in the air, if he comes and catches it, we can react to a counter-attack anyway. And also the way a lot of teams play now, when they attack a set piece, they have 2 on the Bristol City definitely do it. They have 2, the deepest players on the D, 2 of them. If I left 1 up, they would leave 1 or 2 back. But if they leave 2 there and my goalkeeper catches it, I've got more chance of Caden or Nat or Corey getting in from the catch and the throw than I have if they're already there. But mainly it's because I don't want to concede, is my honest answer. Go on, mate. You're in.
I think the best part of my job is almost when you try and see everything come together. I think when everybody's, if you think about the planning from the summer, I mean, obviously last season was absolutely amazing, and the end of the season and where we got to, we'll never, ever, ever forget that. But I think then, even though, like you said, all around you knew we were getting promoted after Carlisle, we sort of started planning a little bit earlier.
Thought we had a better chance after the Carlisle goal.
So it's then kicking into action and everybody coming together to go, right, now we know exactly where we are. We didn't really have, you know, as a football club and a staff, that much of a summer, if you like, because it was just all hands to the deck. So I think when everybody's had to come together and get all the business plans together and put everything and try and forecast and get everything, you know, in place, even things like, you know, your shirt sponsorships and everything like that we didn't know which division we were going to be in. When you see that then come to fruition and you see the planning that was done from recruitment through to the first team as well, and even when we sat down last week, you know, all the players that we signed in the summer, we look back and said, right, well, when you compare to what we thought we were signing and why we were signing them, they're doing exactly what we expected them to do, what we thought we were signing them. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Strengths and weaknesses. So I think just the fact that we talked about this, the business plan that we're on, just seeing those different phases come together, and then everybody enjoying and sharing in that success last season, and also being honest, the buzz around the place now, and people can just see that where we are is you know, probably above where people had expected us to be, if we're honest. But I think that's all come with just extreme hard work all over the football club, and again, whether it's at the training ground or at the stadium or you know, any other part of the football club, everybody just loves it so much. It's just so enjoyable to be, and when it's a way of life and everybody enjoys it so much, that's why I think we you know, we're getting the successes and the step changes that we are. I really believe it.
My answer is very long, but I think fundamentally, I echo what Stephen said, but fundamentally mine is on, I'm obsessed with relationships above everything. So I will never lie to a player. I will always keep in contact with my players all the time. I idolise my players. And when certain things happen in a day and I think, wow, that felt good. So for example, conversation I've had today, I've had a shooting competition with me and Jerry that I still swear I won because I scored off a one-touch rebound, which in the 80s counted. I enjoyed that today. It was like a highlight of my day because I have loads of problems in my day, as you can well imagine, and awkward conversations, but then I have moments where I enjoyed it. I had a conversation with Kenzo about he didn't track his runner, and I showed him the video, and he went, yeah, Gaff, I'm sorry. And he leaves my room thinking, right, like he buys into what we're trying to do, so I love that. I had a meeting with Caden Jackson. He was showing me something in training that he thought would help, that I'd showed him in a game, and he thought it worked, and he was sitting with the analysts, and that gives me massive pride that we have someone like him at the football club. I had a conversation with Cash about, showed him 2 clips, what am I going to tell you? And he went, I didn't pass it quick enough, did I, Gaffer? No. So I loved that. Had a conversation with the chef to tell him how much better the food has gone today. I love that. The food is an absolute joke. So there's moments in my day that I really love, and they're like really precious moments. And I love, obviously, coming into the dressing room after a win. That is literally, I know sometimes RamsTV are loud and sometimes they're not, depending on our mood. But those moments are like beautiful, but they're gone. And I think as I've got older, I've become more appreciative of magic moments in my day. I feel like I'm always emotional if I talk about stuff like this, but they're the certain bits. Like weirdly, someone said about clapping the fans, right? So me and Rich laugh about it all the time. And I'm saying, I'm going to run over there, clap, and no one sees me. And I have to keep running until someone sees me. So there's going to be one game where everyone eggy boffs me and says, do not clap the gaffer. And I'll run all the way over thinking, oh my God, I'm nearly in the stands before anyone claps me. And I like that. I like that. And I'm really, like, if the team win, lose or draw, I never get too high, never get too low. We always treat the players the same. And there's a real respect value between the staff and the players. And that's what I like. And when I see it come out in different ways, if I see a player hold a door open or offer a coach a cup of coffee when they're at the machine, they're all the bits that I really love. And they're the things that I'll miss when I leave football. I won't miss the last-minute goal, although it's amazing. I can still see that on telly. I will miss them personal relationships that are really irreplaceable in life. That's what I'll miss. So they're the bits I love.
Let's do one more question as we'll finish here.
He's going to ask me who my favourite player is, isn't he? You can stop filming now. Stop filming. Stop filming.
Hi, my name's Seth. Can you coach my under-12s team?
Paul, before you answer, I'm Seth's dad. And I'm the coach, so it means I'll get the sack if you say yes.
I have too much respect for your dad to accept that job, but thank you. And I'm a little bit busy. We've got 3 games next week. Ooh. Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday.
Gentlemen, that I think is just about it for the Q&A. Let's hear it for Paul Warne and Stephen Pearce, everyone.